Okay, I'd like to move on to the approval of the June 3rd, 2024 meeting minutes.
I will move to approve with one correction. On page 2 of the minutes, line 42, there needs to be a space between restaurant and city. Other than that, the minutes look great.
Okay, are there any other questions
Yeah,
or comments?
Mike, it's Dave with ONG. Just one on that same page, line 35. It said Mr. Parasol disclosed 79.6% of the budget. That should just have a T added to the budget.
Have a T to close it off.
Thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you, guys. Are there any other corrections?
We just need to have it seconded.
Second.
Thanks, Ryan. All right. All in favor of approving the minutes as corrected?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
One abstention, I was not present.
Noted. Thanks, Ryan. All right, moving into the Latimer Lane project. Arcadis, the floor is yours for your monthly report.
Thank you, Mike. All right, good evening, everyone. As everybody knows, construction continued again throughout the month of June. Included in our report is a 90-day construction look ahead. ONG, as usual, will go through some of the construction activities that have took place and what we're looking forward to in this coming month. One good piece of news for everybody, the state changed the reimbursement rate for this project from 33.57% up to 35%. So a little bit more money that will be coming back through the reimbursement process.
That'll be great.
Overall, there's been no major budget changes. Currently, we've expended 72.4% of the overall budget, 83.3% of the owner's contingency, and for comparison, ONG's construction billing is at 82.1%. So we're in line. Following through. We're wrapping up towards the fall time this year. It's coming fast. A lot of FF&E and technology items are being ordered. They've also started to be delivered, and we're discussing, further installation dates and delivery of the remaining items. We've obviously school ended and we did a whole bunch of moving. I shouldn't say it was mostly the school team did a whole bunch of moving to get the space ready for ONG to take over what we're calling phase 3B. Moving activities are going to kind of happen throughout the summer as, the new spaces are vacated, they'll be cleaned, and then the, teachers that will be in that final destination, their contents will be placed back in there, and the new FF&E and technology as well, again, throughout the summer. Action items, just so everybody's aware of, we have invoice approval as usual, PCO approval as usual, and then bid acceptance and purchase order approval for a number of items, which we'll get to shortly. That is all I have for tonight. Does anybody have any questions?
I don't see any. Thank you, Zach. Justin, moving on to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Fairly brief CA update for this month as reflection of the report that we provided. 7 new construction RFIs in the month of June for a total of 300. 11 new submittals for a total of 459. We conducted approximately 7 meetings from working OAC meetings to biweekly OAC meetings and FF&E meetings. As part of your approval, this evening is ONG application for payment number 19, a series of PCOs, as well as some purchase orders for the balance of the FF&E and technology group. The good news about the FF&E and technology, everything that you will see tonight is within the original budget that was presented to this committee back in January or beginning of February. So that's good news that we've been able to hold those prices throughout this process. And with that, if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Justin. Dave, moving on to you at O&G.
Absolutely, thank you, committee members. As of right now, Phase 1A has been turned over for a long time. Phase 1B is 100. Phase 1 is 100% complete, working on punch list items. Phase 2, we're at about 95% complete. Phase 3, which is broken into 3 categories, A, B, and C. We're approximately 40% complete on overall Phase 3. In Phase 2B, the finished paint is being installed. The wall coverings have been measured, and we expect samples in the coming days, and we'll coordinate that and finalize it with support from Tecton, and then release that into production and get that up on the wall. The doors and hardware have been installed. The railings at the ramp and stairs have been installed, and the flooring installation has begun. The media center and associated offices are complete. Phase 3A, excuse me, the mechanical roughs and finishes have begun. Drywall installation is near complete, expected to be complete this week. Painting has begun, and floor installation is to begin this week as well. Today, the ceramic tile installation contractor arrived and has started working in the gang bathrooms. Phase 3B, the general demolition is complete. Abatement is complete. The saw cutting of the hallway is done. Excavation has begun, and the replacement of the underground piping is to begin tomorrow. That is also extended into Phase 3C. So we're working from, let's say, the new cafeteria back through the main entrance and classroom hallway. The framing is complete. Sheetrock has begun for the walls. Rough electrical inspections have been completed. Phase 3C, the general demolition is complete. There is nothing remaining of the main administration wing. Abatement has been completed today, 100%. We're going to have the final air clearance tomorrow morning. And as long as that passes, we'll take the containment down. And at this point, the school is completed with the asbestos abatement. There are some windows that still come out that have PCBs, but that'll be in the next, this week and next week. Site work has resumed. We made significant progress on that. The north basketball court is paved and completed. The north playground area is ready and for installation of the playground equipment. If anyone has driven by the school, you'll see at the southern end, the nice berm is up. The new fence has been installed. Well, the mesh will be finished tomorrow, and the playground equipment started getting installed today in the preschool through first grade. I think that's the age bracket. So playground equipment has arrived and installation has started today, 2 weeks earlier, which is, a nice pleasantry to have. All this work and the challenges has happened with the support of Tecton and Arcadis, good team building, good support, working through some of the challenges that always pop up on projects. So thank you, team members. Right now, the CM contingency, we have remaining $254,928. The CM allowances still remain at $37,009, and the contractor allowances has a remaining balance of $270,074. And right now, as Zach mentioned earlier, we are at 82.1% complete based on the current requisition. And if there are any questions from the team members, committee members.
Any questions for the CM? Not
I have
seeing
one.
any. Oh, Ryan.
Just a while back, we had a pretty expensive change order on changing what we did to the ceilings. I believe it was for the phase 1 areas. Is that all installed and is that wrapped up?
The installation of the sheetrock into the ceiling. Yes,
I
and
believe that's what it was.
yes, I want to say yes, because I don't think there's anything to be installed in phase 3C. I believe that's all exposed or drop ceiling. So I want to say yes, it is installed and it's complete.
Yeah, the change order captured the entire building, what needed to be installed. So
Okay.
any work
Thank you.
that is remaining will proceed as scheduled.
Any other questions? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to the potential change orders for this month. First one I'm seeing is PCO number 211 in the amount of $25,633.
So PCO 2211, it's part of the during the construction phase, there are 2 locations where there's folding partitions in the cafeteria and up on the gym floor. There is some missing steel members for the support of these folding partitions, so it can ride along and fold into the pockets. So this cost was for the purchase, manufacturing, and installation of the structural steel, and the value comes in at $25,633.
I'm sure there will be questions. This is part of this is part of the design issue involving the folding partitions. This is the second half of that change order that we had previously reviewed to provide both the soffit framing and the steel framing here that was missed on the documents. So it's work that's necessary to complete, and this is the resultant cost.
You notice that this change was not listed as eligible for reimbursement. Can somebody provide a reason for that?
Probably because they clicked the wrong button. It is eligible.
It's ineligible due to date.
Oh, it's ineligible due to date.
I believe so. I reviewed this with Emily prior. Or was this the rework? Hold on, give me 1 second. We'll circle back to that question and I'll get you an answer, Ryan.
Are there any other questions on this PCO? No. No. Can I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of moving to approve PCO 211 in the amount of $25,633?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Next PCO on the log is 217 revision 1.
PCO 217 revision 1, as part of the design in the cafeteria in the main hallway going past administration wing. There is a drop ceiling installed, and part of it is a decorative leaf cutout. When it was installed, there were feelings of they wanted to have a different look, and working with Owen Jean Tecton got together to best approach any kind of change or different look. And it was decided that there will be inserts placed into these cutouts. You'll still have the decorative leaf appearance, But to install the cutouts in the new ceiling grade and painting, the cost comes in at $22,940.
So I'll add, again, the original design intent was to have these openings within the ceilings be exposed to the deck above. Upon installation, the request from Simsbury Public Schools was to provide an infill to them to maintain the decorative aspect of the leaf relief, pardon the expression, the leaf relief. And this is basically an acoustic insert into these to maintain the design intent of the leaf formation in the ceiling. Those of you that have toured have probably noticed this area in the ceiling. I think it was also a request at the time of the original walkthrough to address that. That's what this is.
And is this for all areas?
This is for all areas that have this this particular condition.
I'm sorry, can you explain to me again why the original condition is not satisfactory?
Because it reveals more of the exposed ceiling that is desirable. And it, in the end, this will be a better condition, frankly.
Better looking?
Yes.
Yeah. It's primarily an aesthetic thing, correct?
Yes.
Plus, the younger charges won't be tempted to throw things up there.
Correct.
I'll move for the approval.
I'll second it.
Are there any other questions and discussions? Hearing none, all in favor to approve PCO 217 revision 1 in the amount of $22,940.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Next item is PCO 221 revision 1.
PCO 221 is derived from Bulletin 71. I believe this is the one in the main lobby. There are kind of little alcoves where casework was originally designed to be installed a while back. Some of it was removed recently. It was decided by the school to install a TV or a monitor. And this is the cost for installing the power and data and some other simple reworks to make this happen. And the cost is $3,814.
So originally, when my friend Dave says that there was millwork removed, it was deleted from the project, and this committee had previously authorized a credit change order of approximately $10,000. This is what is going back in its place. Ideally, we would package these all together as one, so you would have a net credit. Unfortunately, we were not able to package those together. So you've already acted on the $10,000 credit. This is a $3,800 add to add some additional technology and data into those locations. I didn't want the committee to think that we physically removed anything from the project.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, motion to approve. Are all in favor of approving PCO number 221 revision 1 in the amount of $3,814?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion is unanimously approved. Next item on the list is PCO 231.
PCO 231 derives from Bulletin 83. It was requested by the school in grades K through 2 to have the teacher wall pencil rail lowered by about 6 inches so the younger children are able to reach and write on the marker board. There is a certain amount of rework and additional materials for this change, and the total value is $8,335.
Are there any questions and comments?
Move to approve.
May I hear
I'll
a
second
second?
that.
Thank you, guys. All in favor of approving PCO 231, in the amount of $8,335?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Next item is PCO 232, revision 1.
PCO, excuse me, PCO 232. This is kind of an extension from some of the unforeseen existing conditions we have encountered with other activities. This is specific to the certain amount of windows and storefronts being installed as we opened up areas of the building that were originally break and block. There were structural steel members that were causing an impedance to the window system. We had to make on-site field modifications, lowering down the framing system so we can install it, and ultimately resulting in having to reorder glass that can be sized properly. This is an existing condition. It's an unfortunate circumstance, and the value comes in at $39,078.
And it's safe to say that this was unforeseeable, and as a result, we are adjusting.
Correct.
Yes, this is the
it's-
same. Go ahead.
I was just going to say it's one of those conditions where unless you do destructive investigative work very early on in the project, you won't be able to fully understand how the building was originally constructed. I'm sorry, Justin, go ahead.
This is part of the same issue that we were dealing with the composition of the existing structure at the gymnasium and the cafeteria. If you recall, at one end, we had the predictable structural condition that was represented on all the drawings. On the other end, there was a completely different condition that was unforeseen. This is kind of following that issue. So the silver lining in this is that we're running out of walls to open to find unforeseen issues. So we trust this will be the last of the large items that we have to deal with here.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of approving PCO 232, revision 1, in the amount of $39,078?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Next item is PCO 235, revision 1.
PCO 235 is for additional caulking requirements that were completed. There was infield decisions made by O&G. We are taking this from the CM contingency. It's the value of $4,220. There are areas where a lot of CMU walls, we had the caulker go through, and the walls are going to be exposed, is sealing up some holes, some cracks, some not great mortar joints, dealing with existing conditions around some of the windows that were installed, and in other circumstances that we felt to clean it up and make it look more presentable.
Thank you for the explanation. Are there any questions or comments?
I have one. Can you explain is this on existing structure that they're going through and caulking, or is this new construction that?
It's existing structure.
Okay, so this isn't the new structure that was put in, didn't look right, then they're going through. This
No. This wasn't caulking to I caulk it, make it look nice because, yeah, no, this was existing situations to deal with.
All right, thank you.
I'll move to approve 236R3, which is $0 with 10,880 coming from the CM.
Believe the value is 4220 coming from the CM. I think you're skipping ahead.
Oop, sorry. You're right. Whoa. I will amend that motion to 235R1 in the amount of $0 with 4,220 coming from the contingency.
Yeah, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to PCO 236 revision 3.
PCO 236, this is with temporary toilet services that are on the project for construction personnel. There is an allowance that was established at the beginning of the project, and the funds are running out. And we're going to take refund it from the CM contingency for another 4 months for a value of $10,880.
Definitely moving in favor of that.
Any questions or comments? All in favor of,
We need to have a second.
Well, I'll
Oh.
second that.
Thank you.
all in favor of approving PCO 236 revision 3 as a zero cost change with $10,880 coming from the CM contingency?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to PCO 238.
PCO 238, as part of the project, there is a server that will record the video cameras for the school. It's manufactured by Vigilon. There's a little storied history with this. Some changes were made during the design and submittal process. Information was lost, and communication was a little broken down. We have to reorder a new machine, and a portion of it is coming from the CM contingency for $20,292, and a portion of it is being funded by the CM fee for $5,000 to purchase the new server, the replacement server.
Yeah, we discussed this at the change order review process. I mean, is there any recourse of us going back to the electrical contractor or his supplier, or is that been ended?
Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, the contractor also contributed, I think it was $10,000 to this change order as well.
Correct. The contractor is contributing $10,000 as well.
Oh,
So
the
it's the
actual cost is
$35,000 system?
35.
Correct.
So this was to Dave's point, just in full transparency to the rest of the subcommittee or the PBC. My apologies, you're not a subcommittee. The server comes in two ways, two operating platforms, Linux and Windows. The design documents had them as a Linux-based server. When the submittal came through, we noted the preference for Simsbury to have this be a Windows-based server. It showed up on site as the original specified Linux and was, in the interest of getting phase one turned over the holiday break, the Linux server was installed in the rack, and that's why we are unable to get full credit for it. And that is that's the nature. This is an issue that we've been discussing between the subcontractor, O&G, CES, and Tecton and Arcadis for 6 months. And this is the way that we can get the through the CM contingency and a part of the subcontractors purchase. This is how we can get the security server on the site and installed for the start of the academic year in the end of August. So this was the path of least resistance after 6 months of back and forth with the CM, the architect, the owner, the OPM, and the subcontractor.
Okay, so I mean, the long and short of it, so we're getting a $35,000 system for 20.
Well, are
Basically,
we, or are we paying another $35,000 for a system that we should have already had that was included in the budget?
Or, yeah, you're paying twice. You're not getting any
Yeah.
credit for the original one, yes. But I'm saying, error, whatever, however we got there. At this point, for a new system, we're paying 20 for a $35,000 system.
When the
Okay.
decision was made to install the incorrect system in order to move the project forward, were there discussions on who would be footing the bill? And was Simsbury aware that the town would have to pay for somebody else's mistake at that time?
Yeah, Mike, this is Dave with ONG. Yeah, there were Simsbury Schools was involved in part of that installation. So it was just
Dave, if I could interrupt, did they the town installed it, correct?
they did.
Yeah. And there was not, it's from the discussions we had, there really wasn't a discussion about the Linux versus the Windows at the time, I believe.
It wasn't known when Simsbury Public Schools installed that server that it was the one that they did not desire.
So there was the town did not make a decision to incur cost. They didn't know that there was a mistake that was made in the ordering process.
Correct.
I'm kind of struggling to see how this is.
I mean, this is, well, it's like I said, it's multifaceted. And so we had a basis of design product, and that was submitted on. As Justin had said, the submittal came back, and again, looking at this now in hindsight, right, with a much different lens, there were changes made when the submittal came back. Our feeling is that the actual change in direction of the equipment could have been clearer when the submittal came back. Next thing we know, the submitted server arrived on site, and this is where we're taking $5,000 out of our fee because there's something more that ONG could have done there. When that came back and it was if that submittal comment was not to what we would expect in changing scope, we should have raised the flag and said something there. So we feel that we have some personal responsibility outside of what the CM contingency is used for. So the server arrived. The server was, it was, before it was installed, I believe it was known that someone had told us that, no, this is not the right type. We want a different system. So I believe the piece of equipment was brought back to our field office, transmitted back from the electrician to us. It sat in there for a period of time while we were figuring out what to do. Then at some point following that, that piece of equipment made its way into the rack out of the box. And then the process of installing it was stopped again. So that was where we, so then we were dealing with an open box piece of sensitive equipment that we no longer had value to anyone in the industry.
I'll also note for what it's worth, since it is such a large cost, that the after a lot of deliberation, the final piece of equipment was selected, and it came back like the next week that they actually don't manufacture it anymore. So we do have the newer version of the desirable piece of equipment, which would not have been part of the original scope. So there is partial value add, maybe $3,000 or so compared to the original device.
I hate to be blunt about this, and that all sounds good, and I understand that there's some part of this that we have to move things forward. But Dave or someone, can someone explain to me where the town has even arguable culpability in the decision-making tree on this? Because I'm just not following where we're part of the errant decision-making.
A member of the town staff is the one that took the piece of equipment out of the box and put it into the rack.
After it had already been returned from the
After-
contractor to ONG, and then
Correct.
ONG, then somebody took it back from ONG to the site.
Yes.
Okay.
That's where our liability hangs.
All right.
I'm for a 30, I'm not seeing $20,000 of a $35,000 tab being the town's on this level of decision making.
Well, if we want to put it into the blunt terms, if the town or Simsbury Public Schools didn't install the server into the rack, it would have been returnable, and we would have been able to use the returned funds to help
Sure.
the assistance.
And similarly, if every other error before that hadn't been made, same outcome. So it's
All right. Ryan,
I-
what do you,
I'm not-
I mean, what do you think? What are you thinking?
well, no,
of
what
this
I'm thinking
kind of
is,
split?
well, I appreciate the gesture of a $5,000 fee from ONG and 10,000 from the contractor. I don't know how essential it is to get this thing done now, and how much I know this. They say there've been, discussions going for 6 months over this.
Well, I don't mean to interrupt, but about the severity of this item. This item is the one thing that operates the entire building's camera systems, which, while the school has not operated them for quite some time now, it's extremely crucial to opening school that we have this up and running for the school. There were events that would have been very useful to have those cameras running, and on top of that, it is, it's an 8-week lead time, so we can't even hold it until the next meeting.
So are you telling me that until we figure out the split on this cost, we can't get this installed on let's do it and then figure out the split on the cost later?
Well, Ryan, this is Dave. We released the contractor to proceed based on the agreement that we believe we had with their share and our share that we presented to you tonight, because we didn't want the school opening this coming year without this server in place and functioning. So we took some risk in releasing it because we knew of its importance.
And we appreciate you doing that, but this definitely wouldn't be the first time that a contractor was out on a limb while change orders got, figured out. So I think the important part is that it is ordered. I don't see a reason why this can't be tabled more. But I certainly don't want to jeopardize the opening of the school by doing that.
And I'm not saying we have to, I'm just saying I personally, and I'm not, certainly don't speak for the board, paying another $20,000 for the system on this chain of events doesn't feel right to me based upon the series of events.
I'm just going to throw it out there. If there's 3 parties involved, a third.
Is there 4 parties involved? Is there any part of the submittal process and specification that's in
Well, that would
question?
be the contractor. So you say ONG, the electrical contractor, and the town. That's my 3.
Okay.
For discussion. Yeah.
In my opinion, I believe that O&G and the trade contractor have contributed what is a fair and equitable amount for our responsibility in this change.
I mean, Tom, do you want to weigh in on this? I mean, you probably were more involved in these discussions than us from the town's point of view.
I think he's off right now.
Oh,
I also think it's important to note, right, and we have had these discussions for 6 months. I mean, these numbers weren't pulled just by saying, let's try to, Band-Aid it together. But at the end of the day, and you're right, there was things that happened prior to the installation. But if that piece of equipment was never installed, it would have been returnable. And that would have changed the whole, and we likely may not even be here unless it was just for the $3,000 value add for the newer version of this piece of equipment. So it's not to say that, there wasn't things that happened before, but in the holding time, that's when the piece of equipment was installed. And then we lost our, potential to return that and receive funds back.
yeah. Unless there was a giant sticker on that box that said "Do not install," I'm not convinced that gives the town the majority of the culpability in this situation.
It was brought to the building and it was brought to our field office and transmitted back by the electrician to us under the direction of the town, and then the town took it and put it in. A label was not put on it, but
No, but how did it get back from your houses to the school? If the town came and picked it up, I will stop talking right now.
they did.
The town
It
came
sounds like
and
somebody broke into the trailer to get it.
No,
No.
the town came and picked it up after it was returned back to us.
And why did they come pick it up?
I can't.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
and so someone called and said, "Do you have the server that we're supposed to install?" And they come and pick it up, or did they like?
They weren't
There's a-
supposed to install it, though. The scope of work was under the electrical trade, so it wasn't their responsibility to install it.
I have a question. Does it have any value now?
No.
We
To
don't
someone.
we don't believe so. We've done some asking around, and with a piece of equipment like this, we're unable to find a market for someone who will take an open box piece of equipment of this sensitivity.
So it'll go to attic stock, the town.
Yeah, it's the
possession
town's
of it.
it's the town's property, correct?
Is there anyone else in town who would use it?
Potentially in town, but from the sounds of it, the operating system, Windows versus Linux, the Windows, I believe, is the correct one that is used across all of Simsbury public schools. So it's likely that it won't be transitioned over, as the request for Windows came from the IT department, and the IT department runs all of the buildings. So unless it can be used in the town of Simsbury, not at the Simsbury Public Schools, is unlikely.
Okay.
I think for final closing arguments, or just so for knowledge, right? A lot of what happened took place over the winter break. So last year, 2023 into 2024. And, so at the end of the day, I think all the Simsbury Public Schools was trying to do was to get the system operational. So again, when they brought the kids back in January, they had cameras. I don't think their intentions was to open a box and then, install it, only to realize that it wasn't the operating system that was desired.
Well, Mike, do you want to table this till next meeting, or?
Yeah, I think we should. If
My-
we can,
My concern isn't at Voices. The contractor released it on good reconnaissance, and if I tell them that it was tabled, I'm worried of what might happen. I know this is a tough conversation and talking point, but I really need to press forward to bring it to resolution.
I'd had to step out for just a minute. I was presenting to the Board of Selectmen. I'm kind of doing double duty tonight, but I don't know, Kyle, if I missed it, but did Jason give you any information on this one?
No, Jason did not give me any insight on this.
This one just seems like more than anything is in Jason's wheelhouse.
Yeah. I would agree. We need Jason and we need Richard Durr to weigh in on this.
That's what I was gonna say.
I can,
In the absence of Rich, maybe, that's the reason why it's being tabled.
Can we have a special meeting this week to try to?
there's nobody more sympathetic as a contractor to how those disputes get resolved, but I will assure you that this is not uncommon for them to release it on good faith. While it's unfortunate, it's part of the business.
There's no motion pending at the moment, so it doesn't need to be tabled if there's no motion made. It can just be put on the agenda for whatever next meeting. I have a feeling trying to arrange for a special meeting within a week is probably going to stretch the town's capacity to accomplish that. My sense would be that we could probably have a special meeting in 2 weeks. And if this is the only item that's on for that meeting, it would be it'll be a briefer meeting than most of our meetings would be.
I might suggest, I think we could always call a special meeting, especially by Zoom, this week possibly. And I believe, again, with Richard Durr present, he would have the ability, if we didn't have a quorum, to still approve this.
Correct.
And I believe he's on vacation without access to Zoom for the rest of this week.
Okay.
Even if it's, I guess, is there a way to open up the discussion for this to be further discussed, with the subject matter experts like Jason Casey when he returns and get his feedback as to what his feeling is. I know he's been involved in a lot of the discussion about this server for the past 6 months.
Are we sure that Jason and Richard would be back next week?
Yeah, Jason is due back this Wednesday from vacation.
And we know that Richard's out for the rest of the week, so because there is no motion on this particular change order, we don't have to address that, but we would, during new business, have to schedule the special meeting in order to address this. So I would recommend that that's what we do.
Right.
I
For the
agree.
purposes, I'm not making a motion, I'm simply inquiring, for the purposes of the minutes, would it be useful to make a pro forma motion that this item be placed on the agenda for any upcoming meeting such that the chair would be available to offer his thoughts on this particular change order?
That's why we would be taking it up in new business
Oh, I
to
see. Okay.
deal with scheduling the special meeting in order to deal with this particular change order.
Understood.
With all that being said, I'd like to move on to PCO 239.
PCO 239 is the last change order. This is in regards to slab concrete infills with a variety of saw cutting and trenching for installing the underground plumbing and electrical systems. There was information on several different drawings, design drawings. Bulletin 4 was created to capture all that under one drawing, and the concrete contractor, there was a misreading of the intent, and in discussions and coordination and compromising for this change order, the value comes in at $28,483, and it's being funded from the CM contingency.
And the reason for this was primarily due to coordination?
Yes.
Are there any questions and comments?
Like, here's coordination of drawings. In other words, what they're saying is that all of the floor cutting wasn't indicated in this bulletin. That's correct?
No, well, this is Dave, just to.
Yeah.
There was some differing information in the bidding documents, and through one of the last addendums that we got out, we thought we had done a good job of identifying and trying to clarify and steer the contractors to what was expected, but we provided less clarity than we had expected after reviewing it. Now, the trade having some ownership, I think the total of this, Dave, was the total amount of it was like 30-something thousand, but they
Correct.
they took a haircut for some portion of it. But we tried to clarify the information pre-bid and missed some aspects of the scope of work when we bought it.
Yeah, it was cutting the floor for underground that was going in.
And the patch, correct. Yep.
Yeah.
So all the pipe replacement is captured under the plumbing trades. It's just the concrete cutting and patching that was unclear.
Just
For the subcontract.
Yes.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments?
Okay, on this one, I will move for the approval of PCO 239.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor of approving PCO 239, the $0 change with $20,483 coming from CM contingency.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to the next item, which is purchase order requests. The first item is a Hilliard PO in the amount of $20,658.25.
And this is for the purchase of 2 floor scrubbers. And so it's accepting their bid from June 20th and then approving the purchase order in that amount.
And is this something that's been reviewed and recommended by Jason? Or all these items something that he's blessed and is good to move forward with?
Yeah, this has gone through Jason, myself, and the custodians at the school, and recommended by the flooring contractor.
And Justin, I believe you said that all of these that we're hearing now are under or within budget.
They were all part of the bid packages or direct purchases or state contract purchases that were all part of the original budget, and they all came in within that budget.
Okay.
Yes.
Can I hear, is there any questions or comments?
I'll move to approve the Hilliard purchase order request in the amount of $20,658.25.
Thank you, David. Can you hear a second?
Second.
All in favor of approval?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. The next item is the CDW government PO in the amount of $14,850.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Mike, I'll just note that again, because it's one of the items that was bid, just accepting the bid dated June 20th.
Okay, it's important to note for the minutes. Yes, or there's a motion seconded, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. The next item is an Amazon purchase order in the amount of $846.09. We get a brief explanation before making a motion.
Yep, they are door window shades to go over the windows in the building. This was specifically an owner requested item for assisting with lockdowns, so you can cover the window and be hidden within the room.
Any questions or comments?
Move to approve the Amazon request for $846.09.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Next item is exam tables direct.
This is just the cost for 3 nurse recovery couches for the nurse's office.
Any questions or comments?
Why were these not in FF&A?
And
They
was
were. This
They are.
this is all stuff, as mentioned earlier, this is all stuff that was part of the original FF&E or technology packages. So there were some things that were purchased off of state contract. That's what this committee purchased before or authorized purchase before. This is simply the second half of these purchases, which
I
are
see.
a
I'm sorry.
combination of direct buy, bid items, etc.
And they're all within that original budget that was presented.
Move to approve the exam tables direct purchase request of 2,000. Good Lord.
Second.
359.54. There we go.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Next item is school specialty dated 6/25. The amount of $42,667.33.
Yep, and this is for 2 drying racks for the art spaces, 29 classroom carpets for the classrooms, and then 30 tack boards and 60 whiteboards for the back wall of the classrooms.
Any questions or comments?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of approving?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. The next item is WB Mason dated 6/21/24 in the amount of $4,979.70.
Yep, and this is for additional shelving. Justin, I don't know if you know offhand exactly where this shelving was identified to be located.
It's throughout the building in some of the closets. Rather than provide built-in shelving, we're providing adjustable mobile shelving. I believe some of this also is, no, the drying racks.
It's just the shelving for this WB.
Yeah, this is just shelving throughout the facility in various storage locations.
Yep.
Freestanding shelving, mobile.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Next item is the second WB Mason PO dated 7/1/2024 in the amount of $14,082.27.
This is for Wanger is the brand, but Wanger cabinets, and I believe those are located in is this the main lobby area, Justin, or is this the
The Wenger cabinets are musical instrument
Cool.
cabinets. They're for the instrument room, music storage.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Last item for purchase orders is for William B. Meyer Incorporated dated 7/8/2024 in the amount of $1,862.
Yeah, so this is to increase a purchase order amount that's already open. Throughout the year, we've obtained moving supplies so that all the teachers could pack their stuff prior to departure. At this moment in time, basically the entire building is in the Myers moving boxes. So this is just the cost to cover those costs. You'll see a couple invoices on tonight's invoice approval list for that, and overall we're still within the moving budget line item. We haven't exceeded the original amount that we accounted for moving.
Move to approve.
Thank you, David. Thank you, John. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is the invoice checklist and payment applications. The first invoice is for Arcadis. That's invoice number 34442630 dated 6/25/24 in the amount of $13,318.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Next item is for Tecton Architects, invoice number 47351 dated 6/30/24 in the amount of $20,973.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Mike, I made
I'm going to combine them. I think that's what Zach was doing. So there are four William B. Meyer invoices. Invoice 220057146 dated 5/31, the amount of 1,136. Invoice 220-057384 dated 6/17 in the amount of 726. Invoice 220-057843 dated 6/30 in the amount of $88. Invoice 220-057844 also dated 6/30 in the amount of $105.60. That is a combined total of $2,055.60 for William B. Meyer.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Next
I
item.
have one quick question, if I may.
Yes,
So are those being stored until the completion of phase 3, or is that stuff that can be moved back sooner?
The stuff that's in storage is the library books, and I believe it's coming back in about a month or so.
Excellent.
We do have the funds to hold us through November if needed. Are, within that purchase order amount, so we are covered. But the plan as of right now is to, before school, reoccupy that library media center space.
Thank you.
any other questions?
Move to
Hearing
approve.
none. Oh. Moving on to TRC Environmental Invoice 655451 dated 6/4/24 in the amount of $6,012.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Next invoice is for Bloom of Texas LLC. Invoice number 1189824 dated 5/31/24 in the amount of $7,975.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Next item, we're combining the E Plus Technology Inc. There's 2 invoices. The first one is invoice V2846455 dated 5/14 in the amount of $12,988.39. The next item is invoice V2850255 dated 5/23/24 in the amount of $443.70 for a combined value of $13,432.09.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. The next item is O&G's payment application number 19 dated 6/17/24 in the amount of $842,820.80.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions or comments on O&G's invoice? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. I believe that is it for the Latimer Lane project. Does anyone have any questions or comments before we move on to our 2 roofing projects? Yes, Dagny?
I'm newer to the group. What is the completion date that we expect for the, kids are coming back into schools? What's going to be going on to completion? Just give me what's happening next and when it should be done.
If memory serves correctly, we're dealing with a completion date of December of 2024.
This is your opportunity, Dave, to tell us we're ahead of schedule.
Well, I didn't want to interrupt, but yes, no, we're doing well with the schedule. When school opens, just before Labor Day, all classrooms will be turned over. Everything will be turned over to the school except for the administration wing, where the principal's office used to be, the nurse's station, and then the original maintenance shop area. That will be completed come early mid-November. So that's where the construction will stand. They will have the gym, cafeteria, the new media center, the art room, and all the classrooms.
And outdoor?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, the people who have to juggle around are administrator type people.
Correct. And that's why working with the school, we made some of the decisions we did to break up the phasing into further phasing to reduce the number of moves, and having to move teachers 2 or 3 times throughout the course of construction. It reduces the number of moves, the cost associated with that. And it did have cost impacts elsewhere, but at a much less impact. And it gave the classrooms turned over much earlier.
Okay, so school starts, teachers and students will be all set.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there any opportunity to have the outdoor play areas turned over while the kids are still on break, or is that expected to happen at the same time as the classroom spaces?
We expect to turn the outdoor play areas over at the start of school. The remaining site work will be up on the old soccer fields where O&G's trailer is, and up out of there. All the playground areas, the basketball court, the 2 new courtyards will be turned over as well.
And Mike, I think at this point, before we head over to the school roofs, I'm going to move that we have a special meeting scheduled for July 15th, which is next Monday, to deal with the proposed change order PCO 238. That's the matter that was not dealt with.
I'll second.
I would just like to add that, the caveat is that Richard Durr and Jason Casey are available for that, but I also agree that shooting for Monday is the right approach.
Are we talking 7:00 p.m.?
Correct. And I would venture to say that the meeting probably won't be more than a half hour.
Yep.
For a special meeting, I'm just trying to remember, are we required to set a date in a meeting, or can the chair simply call a special meeting?
I'm not sure.
I believe the chair has to be able to call it, because we can't have a meeting to call the meeting. So given that it's the chair's prerogative to call a special meeting to order, perhaps if, David, you'll accept a federal amendment to schedule this for a special meeting to be set by the chair, perhaps, and then, perhaps on Monday at 7 if the parties are available, or otherwise at the chair's discretion.
That would be a friendly amendment. That means we wouldn't have to vote on it separately.
Tom, I don't know if you caught that.
Oh, he's still dealing with double dipping here.
I was double dipping, but Jess raised the bat signal, and I'm here.
Okay.
We are dealing with trying to set up the special meeting to deal with the one proposed change order that we did not deal with tonight. And I had originally moved to schedule it for Monday, July 15th at 7 p.m. And Ryan brought up the appropriate note that it is kind of the chair's prerogative to call for the special meeting. So what we would be doing is subject to the chair's availability and approval, setting up a special meeting next week.
That would be ideal, because the only challenge with the 15th is we would need to notice it at least 24 hours in advance. Right. And if Richard is not back till Friday, we may not be able to confirm his availability.
Understood. That's why there would be wiggle room as far as
Love it.
it's Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday.
Yep.
Okay, so there's been a motion that's seconded. Moving on to voting, all in favor of pursuing that special meeting?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. I have a couple more items that I remembered before we move on. Zach, were you able to follow up on the eligibility reason for that first PCO?
Yeah, I reviewed this with our the finance gal Emily that I work with here at Arcadis, and we were reviewing the dates, and she flagged it as ineligible or likely to be ineligible due to the 6-month time frame on the original quote that was provided. So that's why it is deemed ineligible.
And what's the reason that there was that much time that had elapsed? Do you know?
There were different renditions of that PCO directly from the trade. That quote never was updated or was never provided afterwards. So we have different revisions of the change order that have a newer date. But the original quote is from over 6 months ago. So I think it just got lost in lost in translation.
Is there any way to clean up those dates when we apply for reimbursement to help our chances?
I'll work with ONG to see if we can get an updated quote put into that. So, but that said, do we need to reapprove that, or how, I don't know how that would work.
No, the approval of the PCO shouldn't matter, Zach. Because the PCO never goes to the state. It's the backup trade contractor change order.
So we'll work to get that that quote updated.
Okay, thank you. And then there was another item that Chairman Durr asked me to follow up on. Where do we stand with the operable windows that got missed?
Oh, yeah.
So I've been working with Tecton on that, and with the window contractor. Bulletin was issued. There were a couple questions, and we're addressing those questions now, and I anticipate having final answers in the coming days for a proposal.
And this work is anticipated to be completed before the turnover of those classrooms prior to the start of school?
No, there's not enough time to get the frame ordered. There's child guard glass, which is a long lead time. I think it's up to 12 weeks on that. We will have to do this either when school's in session and coordinate timing, or pick a few days where school's out of session and we can get in there.
Okay. I'm sure it'll come up again next month. I appreciate you guys working on that and tracking it. That's a very sensitive item for the town. Are there any other questions or comments on the Latimer Lane project?
I just wanted to note one thing, as we'll likely see cost in the near future, coming to this committee here. Once we turned over phase, let's see. So once we took over for phase 3B, we did encounter some unsuitable soils, and I believe, was it additional ledge, Dave? I don't remember. So this was on the opposite side of the site. Dave, I'll let you give a little bit more of an explanation, but I just want this committee to be aware that there is cost that is coming for that, and it's probably, again, as we experienced towards the beginning of the project, not all that minuscule.
So when school let out on the 13th, the site contractor immediately mobilized. I think it was on the 12th. We mobilized on the 13th. Teachers were in the building, but this site was ours. started stripping and prepping the land in the north for the basketball court in the playscape area. Immediately hit ledge where the playscape is, and we're going to have to contend with removing ledge to anchor down the new playscape. And then in the basketball court area, the soil was unsuitable because it was clay, and as you walk on it and machines drove on it, it's what's called pumping, and water starts coming up to the surface, and now you have a spongy subsoil and base. And working with the design team, we removed 18 inches of the soil and then put in a filter fabric and built it back up with stone. And then at the south end of the school, where I think it's the K-2 playscape area, we encountered more unsuitables, and just somebody walking on it, you sunk right into the ground. Ultimately, it was an old abandoned septic tank that nobody knew was there. It was trapping water and material. So we had to remove it. We punched holes and destroyed the bottom of the septic tank so water can drain out, and then filled it back up with structural fill so we can build the playscape on. This was coordinated, constantly talked with the design team and OPM. So I feel there was a great line of communication, and all the work was done on time and material. And I'm just finalizing and putting the PCO together as we speak.
Aren't there unit prices for that? Or
For the ledge, yes, but the
Okay.
problem is we don't know how thick the ledge is. And we have to drill down and anchor so we can put the posts of the playscapes into it. We don't know, is it 6 inches thick? Is it 4 feet thick? Is it thicker than the depth of what the playscape is going to go?
any idea of the order of magnitude?
Right now, we're looking at about $55,000.
Okay.
Yes, Megan.
So I'm not an engineer, but if you have to drill into ledge for the anchored pipes, can you just drill the holes and not level the whole ledge?
Well, you have to, if an option was looked at where drilling and anchoring right into the ledge itself, cut the posts and just use the ledge as if it was like a concrete foundation and bolt into it. And that would void the warranty of the manufacturer, and there's no guarantee that it would hold because it's ledge. It could crack and come loose and not provide the strength and stability that you want. When you
can't
drill,
like
well,
drill
when you
bigger
drill,
holes and sink concrete?
well, that's what we're gonna do.
Oh.
They have
So you-
these posts have to be cast into concrete footings.
Right.
But what we don't know, to get through the ledge, is it 6 inches thick or is it 5 feet thick, and we're going to have ledge all the way down, and then we just fill it in with concrete.
So can you drill and test to see the depth?
There's over 50 posts that are going in the ground, and ledge can go from 2 inches to 10 feet in a matter of 1 foot distance.
So I didn't know it was 50 posts.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, it's a big ticket item.
A lot of options and ideas were looked at, and things were kicked around, and it's just, it's unfortunate circumstances.
There's no other place, I haven't seen the site plan to ship things around.
That would be substantially more cost because the landscape is not flat. The natural landscape, it's all hills and rolling. That would be substantially more cost to do that.
Okay. So it's for basketball.
Basketball. The ledge directly impacts the playscape.
Okay.
At the north end of the school. Everything else, the basketball court and then the southern playscape area was unsuitable soils, which means it was too soft and too wet to build on. It
Yeah.
wouldn't support the load, the weight.
Right, I understand.
Thank you for making us aware of it.
Sorry for the bad news at the end of the meeting, but I just don't want you guys to be caught off guard with it.
Continuing to fight the site.
We thought we were done, but then we started having to put in our playground and all right, and then there was one other thing. I know there was a couple of emails that kind of went back and forth. David, you were talking about a site visit for this committee. I don't think, just due to the mere fact of the time that these meetings are, it shouldn't be a problem if we were to hold it in September, but I'll leave that up to you guys. Just let me know if you prefer August or September more. There's going to be more work complete in September and a lot more of the FF&E and technology installed then. And then I'll work with Mike and make sure we get an email out to everybody to let you know what time and where we're gonna start our tour.
I just don't want to disturb the kids in their education. So I would be more inclined to think about August, but I also understand the efficacy of having more things completed.
Yeah,
I'll
like
leave
I
that
said,
to the chair.
okay. I'll make
Could
sure.
it be done on a weekend? No, bad idea.
Field trip.
Yeah, again, our meetings we typically have been having our walkthroughs at 5 o'clock, I think it was, so it's been well after, you know, the school day is over by then, so it's usually not a conflict. And Mike is the one walking us through the building and is happy to tell any kiddos about what's going on as well, so I think either or is better, is good by me. I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware.
Yep.
I'll have Mike get in touch with Rich about that, or I'll Jason have him get in touch about that, and we'll get something scheduled and let you all know when that's gonna be.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, Al, I think the show is yours. I'm gonna move on to the Tarrafel roof project first, and I'm gonna have to excuse myself for a minute to go get my laptop charger, but I'll let you take the floor.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Good evening. On June 11th, we received bids for Taylorville School. 4 bids were received: Slowtown Roofing, Greenwood Industries Commercial, and A Secondino. Greenwood Industry was the low bidder at $706,000. We did have 2 alternates that I recommend acceptance. One is to go from a 20-year to a 30-year warranty, which was $34,000 by Greenwood. And there's some masonry restoration work that needs to be done on chimney. That's $33,500. So the Greenwood bid would be $773,500. Our construction estimate was $810,381, which still leaves a balance of $36,881 in the project. And we still have a $121,560 contingency. So very happy with Greenwood. We've worked with Greenwood on your high school re-roofing project. I presently have them on a project in Montville Tile Middle School. Excellent contractor, and without hesitation, I could recommend them for this project. Let me jump in right into Central just to go over the bids.
Okay.
On Central, we received 5 bids: Greenwood Industries Commercial Roofing, Titan Roofing out of Chicopee, A Secondino, and Offshore Construction. Offshore Construction, by the way, is a division of Slowtown Roofing. They just felt they would be better bidding it as offshore. On Central, Commercial Roofing was low bidder at $243,000. The alternate to go to a 30-year warranty is $10,500 for a grand total of $253,500. Our estimate was $298,798. So that still leaves a $45,298 reserve in the construction estimate, and we still have a $44,820 contingency. I have worked with commercial last year on a project in Stafford. Stafford Middle School, both contractors are very much interested in the project, And actually, Greenwood Industries is planning on paying a visit to the school tomorrow to do some field verification. So again, I'm recommending commercial for the Central Elementary School roof project.
Now, is commercial, where's commercial out of? Where's it
Commercial's out of Putnam.
That's what I thought. Okay. All right.
Yeah. I mean, Central's a small job. Once they mobilize, it's probably a week's worth of re-roofing.
Right.
Taraville, a little larger, and there's a few additional components like gutters and ladders and roof drains and, you know, special order skylights. That's going to take a little bit longer, but we should be substantially done before school starts up next year or this year.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any questions or comments on either of the roofing project bids?
No, it's
when are
good
we
to
gonna
be
have to
under
make-
budget.
Go to Ryan and then Dagny.
All right. Yeah, I was just curious, when does the decision have to be made for the alternates on these projects?
Well, very soon, because if you don't go with a 30-year warranty, it's a completely different system that's being installed. The membrane's a different thickness. We did go for the 30-year warranty on the high school, and I would strongly recommend it. I mean, you know, you're only paying, for example, $10,500 on Central, and you're getting an additional 10 years of manufacturer's warranty. The other thing about a 30-year EPDM warranty is it also comes with a puncture resistancy warranty. So in other words, if somebody accidentally punctures the roof, the warranty will cover the repair of that puncture. Whereas the 20-year system does not cover that.
Thank you.
So you really need to accept it now, because the contractor is going to submit shop drawings, product submittals either on a 20-year or a 30-year system.
Given the potential for future solar panels, I think that aligns much better with the 30-year warranty as well.
Exactly. And with the 30-year warranty, the seams have an additional lap on them, and that is required by the manufacturers if you're going to put solar panels on there.
Al, can you briefly explain the masonry add alternate for Terrafil?
Right. The masonry at Terraville is an existing chimney that's actually on the side of your oldest section of the building. It's in pretty bad shape. I think that chimney is taken in water. You know, we're going to have a brand new roof on there, and you still may see leaks inside the building. The reason I made it an alternate is that's an ineligible expense, and I wanted to make sure we had a solid dollar amount. When you get audited by the state, there's no arguing of that it costs $30,000 or $40,000. So that's why it was bid as an alternate.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions or comments? Yep,
Yeah.
Dagny.
So what is the timing of when they might do this?
Well, actually, believe it or not, Greenwood already ordered materials even before your approval. They wanted to jump on this project pretty fast. It was a little bit risky. Commercial is securing the materials. They didn't order it yet, but they're pretty sure they could get these jobs done.
You're
Great.
talking about this summer?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Substantial completion is the last Friday in August. Now, there may be some small, you know, again, this is very rain sensitive. It's weather sensitive. I mean, if we get 3 weeks of rain, they can't roof. They can only roof when there's, you know, when there's no threat of rain in the forecast. So there may be some delays as far as rain is concerned, but if it does roll into the school year, all that work at that point has to be done in off school hours at no additional cost to us.
Even better.
Yeah. That's the risk of being a roofing contractor.
So I guess if there's no other questions, the first item would be the approval of Greenwood Industries bid dated 6/11/2024 in the amount of $773,500, which includes the ad for the 30-year warranty and the ad for at alternate 3 for the masonry repairs for the Terrafil School re-roofing project.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion passes unanimously. Sticking with the subcontractor selection. Next item is approval of commercial roofing and contracting bid dated 6/11/2024 in the amount of $253,500, which includes the ad for the 30-year warranty for the central school re-roofing project.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Al, unless you got anything else, we'll move on to your invoices.
That'll do it for me. Well, I'll stay for the invoices.
All right, the first invoice is for Terrafil School. It's invoice number 24185 dated July 1st in the amount of $850.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. The next item is the Jakunski Humes invoice 24186 dated July 1st for the Central Elementary re-roofing project in the amount of $495.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
All right, I'm out of here.
Thank you, Al.
All right, take care.
Before we adjourn, I just had one clarification in the minutes. We had kind of left it vague whether or not the next meeting on August 12th is going to be virtual or in person. I think we should clarify that ahead of the meeting. So I don't know what our thoughts are on that, if it's going to be a hybrid. Again, it may have help have Tom weigh in.
Well, I was gonna say, I believe if he can come back, that's great, but I believe what he said was tonight's was supposed to be in person, but due to the elevator being not operational, there's another meeting that he's currently attending that trumps our meeting being in person. So that's why we were virtual tonight.
So is the thought that that's not going to be the case for our next meeting, and on August 12th, it's going to be in person?
That is going to have to be a portion of the question that Tom answers, as I don't handle facilities for them. What's everybody's, I mean, we could just say that it's going to be virtual at this point and keep it virtual, and then if we would like, we could send out a mass email and say it's going to be in person, or we could do it the other way around, whatever works better for everybody else.
The problem lies with the fact that when we are issuing a notice for the meeting, it needs to specify whether it's virtual or in person or hybrid. So
I think this would be a good item to talk about at our special meeting on Monday, because I think it's something else that Chairman Durr should weigh in on.
I agree.
If that's true, we have to make sure both those items get into the agenda, because we cannot amend the agenda for a special meeting during the meeting.
Correct.
I have a question. If we call it hybrid, doesn't that cover all our bases?
There's some technological challenges with that. So I think it might be best to figure it out one way or another.
Right. Also, if we call it, hybrid, we have to have a physical place for people to go and watch the meeting, which we may or may not have.
Okay.
I think we could, I'm coming in late again, but I think we could handle hybrid. We have a couple of those owls. We can find at a bare minimum, we can find a conference room that we could set up in, and if nobody comes, it's still a meeting. I know that it would be, the one advantage to the hybrid is we then have the Zoom recording, which meets some of our record keeping requirements.
Right.
So are you saying in town hall, there are options?
We could do town hall, we could do the library, we could do public works conference room. I mean, we
I mean, I've done many at the library, but I don't know what their availability is.
yeah, the library's been a little challenged right now just because of the ongoing elevator project at town hall. All of the Board of Selectmen meetings and our larger public meetings have been moved to the library, so they're ADA accessible. But if we were gonna have a small meeting like this, we could actually have it at Public Works.
Okay.
Who does the responsibility fall on to review this with Chairman Durr and set the agenda and come up with the announcements to make sure we're following the right procedure for this special meeting?
I'll take the ball on that one.
Thank you.
I was gonna hand it off to Kyle, but he's already covering for Jason and Neil, so I'll take this one.
Yeah, I'm good.
Are there any other questions or things we need to cover before we adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Good night,
Thank
everyone.
you, guys.
Thank you.
Good job, Mike.